Hi, welcome to Caribou Country Lifestyle. My name is Cheryl, and it is the end of September, basically. And so we're going to do a little bit of a garden tour. Hopefully this isn't my last garden tour, but you never know. I've taken a few things out of the garden, so let's take a look and see what's been going on. Okay, so over here, these are my squash. This is a sunburst squash, and I have one coming in over there, and then I have another little one coming in right in there too. Not sure how much more time we have left of some half decent weather. It's been as low as 2 degrees Celsius, so it's getting close, but we're still doing okay. Still got some butter crunch lettuce there. It's pretty bitter, so I'm going to be pulling that out and feeding that to the chickens. But I have noticed I have two green zucchinis in here. I got one there and another one tucked in back here. And then I noticed I also have a few yellow zucchinis. Pretty small looking, but I'm thinking if it gets much lower than 2 degrees, then I might just cover this at night and then take my cover off during the day and let them get a little bit bigger. Of course, my beautiful zinnias. I love that peppermint zinnia. The sunflowers are still just looking magnificent. Lots of blooms, and I've even deadheaded this one quite a bit, and there's still tons of blooms on here. Have a couple more on there as well. I ended up pulling out my mashed potato squash, and I got 5 mashed potato squashes. So I'm gonna let those cure before I bring them into the house. I've still got some, we can definitely see things a lot better now. Still got some of the baby beets in here, and I have one of the golden Detroit beets. Still been picking lots of kale. Haven't been picking as much of the Toscano kale, the dinosaur kale, but I need to pick some of that. I've been picking a lot of the dwarf blue curled kale, and I mean, I really like it, but I need to start picking some of the Toscano kale as well. And of course, looking up there, more beautiful sunflowers. Another one up here. It's kind of growing on a slant because these buds are pretty heavy over here. Okay, let's come over here. This is the yellow pear cherry tomatoes. And then in beside it is the Amish paste. Still getting lots of tomatoes, but I'm going to be cutting some more of these out and putting them in my basket. I brought my basket out, so we're going to cut some of these tomatoes and take them into the house. Probably my third big, maybe my fourth big picking of tomatoes. And so far I did a batch of salsa, and then today I did up I had two. I had this basket, and this basket was packed full of the full-size tomatoes, and I did that all up into canned tomatoes. I got almost 8 quarts of canned tomatoes, just canned tomatoes, and so I'm gonna pick out these ones that are starting to ripen. I have one here that fell on the ground as well. Actually, I was gonna put these into here. We'll see how many I get. I could fill both of these up again. But we have lots coming in here, and a lot of times, like, I'll pick them today, but I may not get to them until the weekend. And these Amish paste have just, like, they are just so huge. I can't believe how big these have gotten. Like, I've almost filled up this basket just with the Amish paste. Oh, this one, there's some blight on that one, so I'm going to give this one to the chickens. And this one too, I'll give that one to the chickens as well. And then I'm going to put my cherry tomatoes in this basket. Unless I get too many of the big ones, then I'll give this one to the chickens, because that one is split. And that happens sometimes. They've been on here too long and they haven't been picked, and so they end up splitting if you don't pick them before they get too ripe. So I'm going to pick out these ones, and if they're even just starting to ripen, I'm going to pick them and let them finish ripening in the house. And then if it gets too cold and things freeze, then I haven't lost too many of them if I pick the ones that are starting to ripen. So if I see some color happening, I'm just going to pick them now. Okay, in the front here, these are the Elsa Craig onions, and they're getting larger, but they're still only, like, I have some here in the ground and they're probably only about that big around. So I mean, they're not going to get much, they're not going to have much more time, and then it's going to freeze soon. I think it's September the 29th. I'm thinking we only have probably about 2 or 3 more weeks before it really starts to freeze hard. Here we have the cayenne peppers. We got quite a few cayenne peppers here. Probably have about almost a dozen on that plant. And then I come over here and probably have almost a dozen on this one too. These ones are starting to turn red. So I'm going to be picking those before things freeze too, and bring them into the house, and then I'll use them up in some recipes. Yeah, so we have the Brandywine over on this side, and the Carnival Blend are on this other side. So I'm going to pick these ones as well, pick out the ones that are ripe on these. Got a few going on here. I've got some that seem to be growing right into this cattle panel, I noticed. So I'm thinking that my next tomato venture, as far as, see, this one's growing right into the cage. Has a divot in it right where it was growing in onto the panel. So I think this is a bad spot in it, so I think I'll probably give that to the chickens too. They will like it, and they will eat it. Another one stuck in here. Try and get it out. That one's okay, I think. Yeah, I think that one's good. And then I got one down here. This is the Carnival Blend. So like I say, there's probably 5 different varieties in this Carnival Blend. So not all of them are going to ripen red like you would expect them to. And then I've got a couple more over here. And another one. Trying to get it. Oh, we've still got some bees hovering around in here on my nasturtiums. And I'm just going to go around to this other side. I have a big one on this side. I've got a couple of them actually. Might as well get all of them. That one's about half blushing, so I will pick it and it can finish ripening in the house. I've already almost filled this basket. Look at that. Almost filled the basket. It's pretty much full. And that's from 3 varieties of tomatoes, and I still have the rest of my tomatoes to pick, so I might be putting my cherry tomatoes on top of my bigger tomatoes. Looks like. Okay, so over on this side we have the rutabagas, and they're getting to be a nice size. But you want to have your rutabagas, actually, they can handle it getting a little bit colder. Like, you don't want it -3 or 4 or anything, but they can handle being at 0, -1, and that actually makes them a little bit sweeter in taste. Over on this, got still lots of calendulas. These are the California Wonder Peppers, and I did pick, there was only 2 on this one, and they got quite big. I do see some flowers up here at the top, but there's no other peppers that are growing on this one. This one here, I've got probably a half a dozen little peppers. So again, I might have to come out here and cover these if I know it's getting pretty cold at night, and then uncover them during the day. Over on this side, this is the Big Bertha. The same, I've got a handful of smaller peppers that I need to let get bigger. And then over here, this is another Big Bertha, and we have some smaller peppers on there too that need to get bigger as well. Okay, coming over onto this side, we have our, these are the black Krim tomatoes. So I'm going to be picking those, the ones that are starting to ripen, and then these are the Aunt Ruby's German green, and we're going to get these ones out of here too. Okay, yeah, we do not have enough room in this basket, so I am going to dump out these yellow pear tomatoes, or maybe I'll put them on top of these tomatoes here, because I just don't have enough room for all the tomatoes I have. My next, I was saying before, and I got sidetracked, my next tomato processing is going to be tomato sauce. And I'd seen a recipe for, it's seasoned tomato sauce, I think it was. So these are the black Krim. Like, these are just gorgeous. Really nice size. And I got another little one down here that's starting to ripen, but I'll just get it. And then Aunt Ruby's German green. These sure got to be a really nice tomato. Like, look at that. That's beautiful. I've gotten lots of these off of this plant. I would definitely grow these again. Like I say, I see it blushing just a little bit. I'm gonna pick it and it can finish blushing in the house. But these are just gorgeous. My sister in Saskatchewan was saying that she picked out all of her tomatoes, and I actually had to pick 4 of my cabbages because they ended up splitting. So any of the other cabbages that I seen that were a half decent size, but I don't want them to split. So what I ended up doing was I just turned the plant a couple of turns, and what that does is it kind of tugs at the roots, and it will help prevent the cabbage from splitting. So I ended up picking out those 4 split cabbages, and I'm just going to use those to make some sauerkraut. I think that would be a good way of using that up without having it go to waste. Okay, let's see if I got all of these. I got one more here that I will pick that is starting to blush. Like, look at, I've already got this basket practically full as well. These nasturtiums, these are called a black velvet, and I love these nasturtiums. Like, they are gorgeous. Okay, now we're moving on. Here we have the bull's blood beets, those dark ruby, almost purple leaves. And then on the other side here are the cylinder beets. And I am going to be leaving my carrots and my beets in for as long as I can. They can handle it getting a little bit cold. On this side of the tomatoes, these are the New Girl tomatoes and the Indigo tomatoes. And I'm going to be taking whatever is ripe on these as well. So I have a few of the New Girls that need to be picked. I haven't really had a whole lot off of these. I'm just going to add them to this basket. They're not very big. They're just, like I say, a small to medium sized tomato. When I was making my canned tomatoes this morning, Jamie asked if I had, oh, there's another one with blight. That'll go to the chickens. He was asking me if I had any tomatoes that he could have. He was going to, first he was going to make a toasted tomato sandwich. And I was like, well, I've used all the ones that I have. Oh, there's a ripe one. So I used all the ones that I have to make this canned tomatoes, but we could go outside and pick some. And he's like, oh, that's okay. I'll have a grilled cheese sandwich instead. When I was at work yesterday, I gave some of the teachers that I work with, I'm an educational assistant, so I help in the classrooms, and I help with any of the kids that might have a learning disability or special needs. And that's my job, is I help and I assist and support kids in the class. So anyways, one of the teachers said, oh, that tomato plant you gave me, the tomatoes are black. And I said, yeah, but they do turn red, but just the bottoms of them turn red. And she says, they have a weird taste to them. And I said, well, if you don't wait for the bottoms to turn red and you pick them when the bottoms are green, they're very bitter. You won't even like them. She said, oh, okay. And I thought I had told her that, but she probably just forgot that that's what she was supposed to do. So I said, well, just wait, because these are actually starting to turn red. And I'm picking them as I see that they are turning red. So I have a few here that are definitely turning red. I'm going to add some to this basket too. But yeah, you always look so funny when you're trying to look underneath to see. I'm going to go on this other side. Just give me a sec. I don't have a very good, can't see. Oh yeah, I couldn't tell if that one was turning red or not. It's kind of awkward having to look at the bottom side like that, but I mean, if you pick them before they're ripe and you go to eat them, you're definitely not going to enjoy them. I ended up picking out all of the Scarlet Nanty carrots on this side, These are the jalapeno peppers. I'm going to be definitely picking the bigger ones and then leaving the smaller ones, letting them get a little bit bigger. My Vittoria eggplants, my Black Beauty eggplants, and then my shishito peppers. Got lots. They're starting to turn as well. And then over here again, more that are starting to turn. And then we'll come around. Oh, look at this. Look at that sunflower. I'll come to this side. That is so pretty. Okay, let's come over to this side. Oh, there's a sunflower that I missed. I was deadheading the sunflowers and I missed that one. So over here, these are the Cherokee purple tomatoes, and then beside them are the old German tomatoes. Well, we got a few of the old German that have ripened. There's like lots on here, but there's only a few that have ripened. These ones are so pretty when they're ripe. I just can't believe how pretty they are. I'm going to pick this one. Half of it's starting to ripen. So I might as well take it. And then I'm just going to clip this one off. Because there's no point in focusing energy on something that's not doesn't have time to grow. I'm going to clip that one off too. This gardening, never-ending job. Okay, this is a huge Cherokee purple. Like, that's massive. Very nice. I mean, it's ugly looking, but you can still use the good parts on that tomato. And the little one. I'm gonna have to get another container because there is no way. I still have 6 more plants to get tomatoes off of, and one of them, or 2 of them, are the Oxheart, and they are huge. Okay, so we got all of these, got all the Cherokee purples. Oh, we don't have all of them. I got one more tucked in here. I'm gonna bring my hand in behind here because I was afraid I would lose it if I clipped it off. It's looking good. And then over here, more jalapenos. I'm gonna be picking all of those. I'll have to get a container for those too because I just don't have room. I'm gonna have to get another container. There's no way I'm gonna be able to fit anything else in this container. I already filled up the last basket and now I filled this one up too, so I'm gonna have to find something else for the rest of these tomatoes. Well, over here the cucumbers are pretty much at their end. I only have a couple of cucumbers growing on here. Definitely things have slowed down as far as that goes. I have one cucumber hanging there. And I have a couple of real little ones. Down underneath the cucumbers, we have on the left are the early wonder beets. Lots there, and the ruby queen beets as well. So lots still going on over there. Underneath this cascade of sunflowers, those are the Danver half-long carrots. And behind them are the atomic red carrots. And so I've got lots of carrots. I actually am going to be picking some more carrots because I'm almost finished the ones that I have already picked, been eating them and putting them in my lunch for at work. And then lots of calendulas, have the envy zinnias. And then here we have the Oxheart and the chocolate sprinkle tomatoes, and that's just ended up picking up a planter pot to put these tomatoes into because some of these are pretty big. I don't even know if this will fit through here. I don't want to drop. Oh, it did. So look at that. like fills my hand. There's another huge one here. Like massive, massive tomatoes. It's crazy how big these ox hearts get. Okay, I've got a couple more. This one's starting to blush, so I'm going to pick that one. This one as well is starting to blush. I'll pick that. And then I have this one up here. And I can wait until these are totally ripe before I do anything with them. I've got a few chocolate sprinkles in behind here that are ripening. I'm just going to toss them on top of that other basket. Looking behind here. Yeah. I'm going to add them to those other baskets to find little bit of room and sneak them in. These are the chocolate sprinkles, and they are the ones that are green with the red and green streaks through them. Look at those sweet peas. They're so pretty. They definitely are liking this cooler weather, but it's funny. The deer on the other side of this fence, they are just, I'll just show you. They're eating everything on that side of the fence. But of course, they can't reach those on this side of the fence. Thank goodness for the fence. Okay, as far as my flowers go, look at those nasturtiums. They're still doing so well. And even these, the carnations, look amazing. We've got this deep burgundy, the pink. I've got yellow coming in there. I ended up pulling out my, what was that? The chamomile. I pulled the chamomile out because it was pretty much done for. And then we have still lots of alyssum, lobelia. I haven't had any flowers on this here. This is called the ice plant, and it's supposed to have red flowers on that. And I haven't had not one red flower on that. I don't know what's going on with that. But my parsley looks amazing. My parsley at the front door, the deer have eaten that, and it looks so pathetic. And then there's the flat leaf parsley. The basil's not looking so great. That's for sure, but even the yellow nasturtiums are so pretty. Okay, let's come over to this bed here. Still have nasturtiums. I don't know if these radishes are going to amount to anything. I planted these thinking, oh, it's getting cooler. We'll plant some radishes. But these French breakfasts just haven't really been doing much of anything. And then I planted some more radishes on this side. These massive kohlrabi, some of these are just way too big for us to be eating. And I keep saying I'm going to pick them and give them to the chickens, but I haven't done that yet. And then if we come in here, this is the Chinese Toi Choy. It's kind of slow coming along here. Still have a little bit of Swiss chard left. And then if we look in behind here, those are the natural black cherry tomatoes. And I'll be picking some of those off and adding them to my basket. But look at my basket already. Like, I just got this basket. That's from the ox hearts over on that other side. And then I have these ox hearts to pick on this side. So we'll get these ox hearts first, and then I'll add the natural black cherry tomatoes on top after. Not as many over on this side. I might as well pick these ones. They're just starting to turn. Just starting. So I'm going to pick them. Let them finish ripening in the house. And I'm just going to pick all these natural black cherry ones that are either ripe or almost ripe. And I'll let them finish ripening in the house also. There's just so much that's ready and going on that sometimes it's hard to keep up with everything, like just the amount of tomatoes that I am getting. I've given quite a few away too for fresh eating. I took a big basket of tomatoes, full-size tomatoes, and some cherry tomatoes too. I took them to Vancouver and gave them to my sister-in-law, and of course she was all over those cherry tomatoes just because it's so easy to just snack on them. You can just grab a tomato and pop it in your mouth, and so easy. Okay, only got one more here. Oh, maybe another one there. I picked all of the gypsy peppers off of my plant, so I can get rid of those plants there on those peppers. But I am thinking that because these Tabasco peppers, as you can see, they're not doing too much. So my thought plan is I'm going to snip this top off on both of these because that looks terrible, but there's lots of growth going on underneath here. And I'm going to dig them up and I'm going to put them into a couple of containers. I'm going to bring them in the house and I'm going to put them under the lights in my basement with the rest of where my plant stand is with my lights. And I'm going to overwinter them and see if I can bring them back, plant them in the ground here, and hopefully I will get some Tabasco peppers off of these. This is my third year and they just have not done a thing. I'm kind of disappointed in those Tabasco peppers. So let's move on. So over here, these are my snapdragons. The deer have just been chowing down on these snapdragons, and they actually ate not the mint plant, but they ate the mint flowers off the tops of these. This one here is the apple mint, and then this one over here is just regular mint. You know, like I was saying with the sweet peas, they've eaten everything on this side. Same with my sunflowers. And then this container over here, they've topped all of the snapdragon flowers off of them, even the verbena. And then my sweet peas too on this side, like I was showing you. Of course, they don't touch my rose plant. And then the sweet peas on this side. Oh, I see that they have, I think that is, this here is a morning glory bud, but I haven't seen it open yet. So that's kind of weird. Pretty soon I'm going to be emptying out some more potatoes, so I'll definitely be doing a video about that. But we're going to go down to the side and check out over on this side too. So let's go down here. This I was doing some work, and I had these were what was left over from my 4 split cabbages that I picked. I cut them out. So these are the plants. I'm giving those to my chickens. And let's just go in here, show you what's left. So I still have that cabbage and this little cabbage, but look at this cauliflower, another big cheddar cauliflower. And I have another cheddar cauliflower there, but it just hasn't done anything. I ended up picking another of these Chinese gold cabbage, and I made a soup with some of it. I only needed 3 cups of chopped of the Chinese cabbage to put in this soup, and it was really good. Picked quite a bit of celery off of there. My poor broccoli has gone to flower, so that's going to be coming out, and I'll give that to the chickens as well. Uncle Peter's squash. I'm not sure what's going on here. It's vining like crazy, like it's going up the wall, but I haven't seen anything. There's these, I don't know if you can see them, but it's like there's little buds on here, but there's not going to be enough time for anything to grow off of that. So this cabbage, I ended up turning it so it wouldn't split, and so far so good. And then I have 3 more over here, and I'm going to be turning those before they split too. My sweet potatoes, I still have flowers forming on my sweet potatoes. The plants themselves are supposed to die back before you pick them. I'm not 100% sure about that neither. I'm going to come on this side instead. So I've got a few corn. There's that one down there, and I got another one there, but there's a few here that are feeling pretty nice. I think this one is definitely coming along. Look at that, those squash. You can definitely see the squash now. But this one here is really nice and full. I think I have 2 so far. They're full enough that I think that I can pick them. So with this spaghetti squash, I'm going to be cutting these spaghetti squashes out, and then I will take out all of this vine. I think there's probably about a dozen spaghetti squashes that are growing on these vines that I'm going to be bringing in. I am going to be having a lot of spaghetti squash, and I am totally okay with that. I noticed there was this one plant, and I wasn't sure what was growing in here, but it almost looks like that is a butternut squash. If you can see in there, that looks like a butternut squash to me. That volunteered on its own. I did not plant that. I picked my garlic. This is the extent of my garlic. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 garlic plants that I pulled out of my garden. Kind of disappointing. So I went to Kamloops last week, and Jamie had a competition shoot. So his competition shoots, he goes to Prince George, Kamloops, Vancouver, Quesnel, all different places around. He's been in Salmon Arm, and so we go to these different shoots, and so when he goes shooting, I go shopping. And we were in Kamloops last weekend, and I went to Art Nap, and I ended up buying new garlic because I don't know what's going on. I replanted that garlic. I had a video last October showing how I had planted, I think there were 62 garlic cloves, and I got 6 garlic plants that came out of that. So I've decided that was garlic that I had planted myself, and I saved it, and then I replanted it, that I had pulled out from the previous year, that I had replanted it in the garden, and it didn't do very good. Now, it could be the spot that I put it in. Maybe it didn't get enough sun. I'm not exactly sure, so I ended up buying new garlic. So I bought 2 varieties. I thought I was only going to stick with one variety, and then I didn't have to worry about having tags on them and keeping everything separated and straight. But I was in there and I couldn't help myself, and the next thing you know, I bought 2 varieties. So I ended up getting the Red Russian garlic, and I also got a Mexican purple. I thought that sounded interesting. I definitely want to try that. So I got the 2 kinds of garlic. I am going to be planting them in a couple of weeks. As you can see, that I don't have really any empty beds to be able to plant this garlic as of yet. But once I get the tomatoes out of the garden and the peppers out of the garden, because those are going to be my first and foremost plants that I'm going to be trying to get them picked, let them go as much as I can, and then I'm going to pick one of those beds that I have tomatoes and peppers in, and that's where I'm going to plant the garlic. I'll put in some compost, amend the soil, then I'll plant the garlic, and then I'm going to cover it, the garlic, after I've planted it, I cover it with straw, and I mulch the straw over top of the plants so that it will overwinter, and then in the spring I pull the straw back, and then that way you start watering it, and then the garlic will be growing. So that is my plan as far as that goes. So I just wanted to show you my piddly little amount of garlic that I got. So a little disappointed with that. You know, just gonna try something different this year. Starting with some new garlic bulbs, and I'll do a video about that as well. So that is the end of the tour. The only plants that I have left are the ones on the deck, and those are my cherry tomatoes, and they're pretty much done. The flowers still look beautiful on the deck, but I'm going to end this video now. I have plans to go out for dinner with a couple of girlfriends that I used to work with. So I need to clean up what I've done here, take all these tomatoes into the house, and I'll probably throw in a little short clip of my canned tomatoes that I canned this morning, and we will see you again the next time. So thanks for joining me, and we'll talk again soon. Bye for now. There's my haul of tomatoes for this weekend. So all of my larger tomatoes, and then I just put all my little cherry tomatoes in that box. And I will deal with these as they get a little bit more riper. Let's go take a look inside. There's my 4 split cabbages with their future will be some sauerkraut. And then if we come in here, there's my canned tomatoes. Like I say, I ended up getting 8 full quarts, and then I have a half of a quart right there. So that's pretty good because we use a lot of canned tomatoes in my cooking also. So